All right, so we're at the Hope Spot. So Collision is your Hope Spot this week. Segment number one, another Moxley promo to begin the show. He kind of goes further with it, kind of explains more. He explains why the world title belt is has been put in a bag and not been shown. Is like it's not for anyone. It's for the company. It's for the seat, and he sits in the seat. It was only meant for him. Really egotistical there, John. Belt reminds him of everything he hates because it's big and gaudy and blah blah blah. And this isn't an elevator. You're not uh, riding an elevator up to the top when you face us. Each one of us is a mountain. And top flight, when we face you tonight, it's not going to be your shot at climbing a mountain. It's going to be public execution. Like, man, like Renee, would you please just like relieve your boy's tension? Like for
Something.
real. This is he's so uptight. Like he needs you. We all need for you to need him. Please get your boy, relieve some of his tension, please. Uh he's so uptight. Match number one, AR Fox answers Ricochet's earlier open challenge, and it is a banger. Go and watch it. There's stuff in here that I mean, as usual with Ricochet and AR Fox, doesn't get enough love for being. He's another one of those underground guys who is so influential, and you don't realize it because he only recently got signed to one of the major companies. But he's so innovative. Stuff he does is so cool. Nobody really does the same kind of stuff that AR Fox and Ricochet do. And so you put them together in a match. They mentioned that they haven't met since 2014, but their record up until that point was even. That each one of them had 4 wins on each other,
Oh wow.
which was kind of cool. Um, Ricochet does win with the vertigo. There is one spot that I need to go over. Most of the other stuff I couldn't jot down fast enough, but there was this ludicrous sequence that ended with uh, Ricochet moonsaulting over AR Fox's bent over body to catch him in a deadlift German suplex. That was insane. Never seen anything like that. You need to go see this match. If you're a fan of two wrestlers you know really well, if you love your flippy spots, if you love your good technical wrestlers, if you love the new Ricochet being real gritty and just punching people in the mouth, man, this is for you. This is for you. Ricochet wins with a really, really like adding a little bit of a spin to the vertigo when he applies it. Really great match. Probably went about 12, 15 minutes maybe. Afterwards, Ricochet gets on the mic in what will become a running theme for the night and says he wants another shot at the international title, just basically reinforcing what he said on Dynamite earlier. Segment number two, Daniel Garcia and Private Party are backstage. They say that they're going to relieve the Elite of their title responsibilities. Uh, each of them gets a chance to talk. Zay says AEW changed everything for he and Quinn. He's willing to die for it rather than see it get overrun by the BCC. Quinn says that they have business here in Stockton, so which gets a big pop, the hometown pop.
Keep up.
Match number two was Chris Statlander versus Harley Cameron. Harley didn't have Saraya as backup. I don't know if they just, I don't know where she was. Don't know. Harley's, she's still a little green, but she was trying to do some cool Tekker stuff. She's, my gosh, she is putting in the work, and I love it. Love Harley Cameron.
She's on a
Chris
very
eventually,
similar she's on a very similar trajectory as like Julia Hart was last year,
mhm,
where she started out super green and she's steadily improved her in-ring work as she's
yeah,
gotten the reps.
yeah. With
Um
Julia Hart, it was all those matches on Dark and Elevation. With
mhm,
Harley Cameron, it's Ring of Honor taking that spot. But yeah, like she's really improving at a pretty quick rate.
mhm. I'm
Um,
appreciative of it. And she's
and
kind of
she
over too.
Yeah, I mean, well, she's hilarious.
Yeah, that is
She's
true. She's kind of funny.
she's a hot Australian who's absolutely hysterically funny. Like, how is that not going to get over? um, but and actually, Chris is really giving. She's making Harley look really good. Harley was in control of the match for a lot longer than somebody in her position would be expected. But
Okay,
Chris was really giving in that respect. But she still wins with the Saturday Night Fever.
love it.
And then she gets on the mic and says afterwards that she's always willing to test herself. And she's always prided herself on that. So that's when she calls out Camille to the match that I was hoping that we were going to get for Wrestle Dream, but didn't.
Nice.
They eventually make that match official for, I don't think it's this week. I think it's the following, this coming up week. I think it's the following week.
Well,
Right now.
during our break, and I tagged your Pod Foundation podcast.
I did see
Twitter. Did you
that.
see that?
I
Queen
did.
Aminata, who we just said needs to be on TV more, against Camille, who we just said
Yeah.
should
There you
face
go.
Queen Aminata. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so we've got Queen Aminata. That's what I guess that's what's taking in place in between.
Who's booking here? For
Apparently,
real.
us.
What my friends before the pandemic started in earnest, I would have my friends over and watch Dynamite every Wednesday, and it was uncanny how often I called something that was going to happen to the point where they would say, "Oh yeah, well, I mean, we know you're booking the show." It's not always. I'm not going to like say that I can predict everything because I clearly can't, but when you've been a wrestling fan your entire life and your entire life is now nearly 40 years in span, yeah, you pick up on some stuff, which is why, going back to what you said about surprises, why those affect us so much, because
hmm
we've seen nearly everything. So,
Yeah, yeah, it's hard to show me
uh,
something I haven't seen before.
yeah. Match number 3 after the commercial break was Private Party and Daniel Garcia versus the Premier Athletes. Mark Sterling does his thing where he does their intro. He sucks up to the EVPs. The athletes rules stuff still gets athletes sucked from the crowd. Halfway through the match, Stokely Hathaway comes out, about stands a little bit forward from the stage and distracts on the ramp as Zay eats it as a result. But eventually, Garcia gets the hot tag, but he gets cut off. But then everybody gets their stuff in, and Gin and Juice wins it for him. I was glad to see Private Party get it and not Danny Garcia,
hmm
because Danny needs the focus less in this situation. Private Party needs to be more established as they hunt for the tag belts and get their second shot at it.
hmm
Uh, Pre-taped LFI promo follows that. Jake Roberts on the voiceover says you can't outrun the bull, and that rules and bones were made to be broken. Jake always had that way with words.
Oh yeah.
Match number 4, there was, as opposed to Dynamite, which was really promo and segment centric. This was very wrestling heavy.
Mhm.
So you got the two different flavors going on. Orange Cassidy versus Bulk Bronson was just a quick little thing. Jack Jameson was on the mic. He was talking up the Iron Savages. Runs down the conglomeration. He wants the Savages to get more TV time because said they're going to take everybody to Titty City, which always pops me. Um, but as the bell rings, Jameson is still on the apron with the microphone, running down Orange Cassidy. Gets an orange punch for his trouble, and then an orange punch and a beach break for Bulk Bronson. After that, wins it in a really. It was more of, I wouldn't even call it a squash. It was faster than a squash.
Yeah. I watched this one on Twitter. Like
Yeah,
I
the
got
whole
up
thing probably.
I
Yeah,
got up this
yeah,
morning. Okay, like I got up this morning and I literally got that whole match in on Twitter on my way to the bathroom from my bedroom.
yeah.
And
It was
that's
quick.
the first thing I saw of Collision this week because I had to watch it today. But
Yeah.
yeah, like I literally like pulled up Twitter. I was like, oh hey, it says Orange Cassidy wins with an orange punch, and I clicked it and literally walked to the bathroom. And before I even got in there, it was over. I was like, oh, I'll be damned.
Yeah. I mean, it was quick. It was fun. It was funny. Like, I'm not gonna. And it got. I mean, it was kind of a cheap way to get another win on OC. because I think he's now the most winning male wrestler in the company now overall
Okay.
in his entire career.
Okay.
He's got the most wins now. I think it's like I'd have to ask uh, our friend of the show at AEW underscore rankings
Yeah.
about what his total is because I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's well in excess of 100 wins
Oh yeah. Yeah.
overall. Um, Match number 5 after the commercial break was Jamie Hayter versus local Brooke Havoc. It was just an extended squash too, but Haterade takes it. Penelope Ford gets up on the screen, after uh, uh, getting involved last week in their match. She says she's that she feels slighted that during her, I couldn't believe it. She'd been gone for 2 years, injured or
Right?
something. Like what? I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened to her. What kind of injury kept her out for that long? Or I don't know if there's a pregnancy thrown in there too. I don't know. But
Yeah, I'm
she
not
says she
sure.
was laid up for 2 years, and that Hater didn't call her once. So she's kind of like really annoyed because the last time that they were the last match that Penelope Ford had before going down to injury, I guess, was in a tag match with Jamie Hayter.
Oh.
So, you
Oh.
know, yeah. So I was like, huh,
Hmm.
yeah. Oh, by the way, Jamie Hayter is over. Like,
Yeah. They got to
like,
do something about that
yeah. I
quick.
mean, don't get me wrong. I'm glad to see women's feuds happening that don't revolve around the championship. And I know where they're going because they got to keep Hayter on ice until Mariah May and Toni Storm have their second match, no
Mm-hmm.
matter how that turns out. But Hayter needs to be the next one
Mm-hmm.
because if she doesn't get a shot, oof, she's in real danger of cooling off by that point. So like you need to strike when the iron is hot.
Oh yeah, she's hot. I mean, in all fairness, we could go the alternate route and have her beat Mercedes
Honestly,
and beat the streak.
you could
So
you could do that, and I think I would prefer that because it would be taking advantage of her while she's hot.
yeah.
Like you could slot her in there, you could have her beat Chris, that's
Mm-hmm.
fine. Have her beat Chris, and then like immediately lose to Hater, and I think that would maintain uh Hater's momentum without wasting it.
Yeah.
They could capitalize on it without wasting it.
Yeah.
Segment number 4, backstage interview with Private Party, Daniel Garcia, and Orange Cassidy. Garcia comes up to OC and says it's time for him to step up, but Cassidy's like, I'm no leader. I'm just not that guy. So I think, with all the, this is being informed by the fact that the best friends broke up in the past year, and he's just kind of slotted into the conglomeration. Like he's not like I've in the past on this show referred to them as the Island of Misfit Toys. They're like his friends, but they're not like his best friends.
Mm-hmm.
One of his best friends turned on him. The other one retired that guy. So, or got retired by that guy. So,
Yeah.
it's he's still mourning that, even though he's not really showing it. And I think that's the explanation that they're eventually going to reveal. It's like, I'm not that guy. He's so down on himself because he couldn't keep his family together.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what chance does he have against BCC, etc.?
Yeah.
So, I think that's
Yeah.
where they're going with that. I'm all for it. Next match was Atlantis Jr. versus Kyle Fletcher in a
Mm-hmm.
rematch of their CMLL match earlier this year with the ROH TV title on the line. Neither one of them has that belt anymore, so there's no reason to protect anybody. Uh, Fletcher dominates for the majority of it. He does get some cheap shots in before the bell. Um, he did the thing that you didn't like.
Mm.
Sorry, went for the mask, and the
Ugh.
mask was pretty well ripped open. The camera did a good job of staying on the side that didn't show it for the most part.
Yeah, I
To their
appreciated
credit,
that about
to
their
their credit,
promotion.
they
Yeah.
tried to avoid it whenever they could. Obviously, you know, there are people who are moving of their own accord. You're
Yeah.
not going to be able to avoid it altogether,
Mhm.
but they tried their best to hide it.
Yeah, I
Um,
appreciated that a lot, actually.
yeah, I uh, Fletcher wins after a pretty decent match with Brain Buster.
Ah.
I'm glad somebody's using it.
Hmm.
You know, Sammy only breaks it out against Gunther. So,
Yeah, right.
and then for the third time on the show afterwards, there's a mic given to the winner of the match in the ring. Callis gets on it, but he gives it right to Fletcher, so I'm counting it. And he says that he'll be ready to, unlike Dynamite, where he's like, oh, too bad, you don't get anything. He says he'll be willing to talk about Ospreay and his motivations on Wednesday.
Okay.
Segment number
Fine.
5 after commercial was a recap of Darby versus Brody King at Wrestle Dream. It's just a recap. Match number 7 was House of Black versus Alpha Zoe Chris Nasty with 2 Y's and Illumide. So I don't know
I have no idea
any
who
of
any of
those
those
people.
people.
But honestly, it was another squash match, but they made it really funny because there was some comedy from the local team, and they're like, "I don't want to get in there. Do you want to get in there? I don't want to get in there."
I don't want
Like,
to get in there, so I
eventually, the
understand.
House of Black wins after Illumide uh, was seated in the corner and got cannonballed by Brody King as from either side of him, Buddy Matthews and Malachi Black drop kicked him. So it was like a 3-person sandwich there
Oh
kind of
God.
deal. Yeah.
Ooh.
Um, segment number 6, Lexi interviews Thunder Rosa,
Oh
finally
yeah.
back. Rosa's cleared, but she's interrupted by Harley Cameron, who doesn't realize it. I don't think she realizes that like Thunder Rosa is doing her a segment. So she just sees Lexi and she's just like, oh, she's wonderful. She's just like, I'm gonna get you back. And then she gets punched out by Rosa, but Harley remains hilarious on the floor. She's still saying, I'm still gonna get you. Like, Harley, you're still gonna feel the wrath of Harley Cameron. Protect this woman at all costs.
Dude.
She's so funny. Love her. Match number 8 was the main event. Was it the main event? Almost the main event. The Outrunners versus the Beast Mortos and Roosh. Roosh sells literally nothing until the hot tag, and then he sells like a mofo. But like he sells the hot tag, but like he gets in there, he gets his stuff in, and then immediately tags out to Mortos so that Mortos can sell. It's like, oh, Roosh, I know that you're probably just a jerk in real life, aren't you? Like, look, he strikes me as one of those guys. He lays it in thick, and then he doesn't want to sell it. Like
Nope. No
the
sell.
match, Drolistico was out with them with LFI. He tricks up Magnum to prevent the finish, and later holds Turbo Floyd's leg so that he can't kick out when they get the pin there. So LFI beat the Outrunners and then kick the crap out of them afterwards. But then FTR makes the save. So FTR on both shows this week. Yay!
Yay.
And then they do the Predator handshake again, and it's great.
It's always awesome.
Segment number 7, Sammy Guevara promo. He says that he always wants to leave the fans, with a moment to remember. He's always trying to outdo himself and stuff like that. So he challenges Shelton Benjamin for this coming Dynamite. That match should be worth watching, I would assume.
I saw that match graphic well before I got to see the like the promo, and I was
Yeah.
like, that's
Yeah.
gonna be pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah. It's like, give me that. I want that.
I'll take that one. Yeah.
Commercial. And then finally, the main event is Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, and Pac put their trios title on the line against Top Flight and Action Andretti. there was this crazy spot where Dante was in the middle of executing a tope, but his feet, he was caught in midair by Claudio. His feet were on the ropes for balance, so he wasn't all the way out of the ring, but he was still caught by Castagnoli. And then he just shoves him into the post. It looked,
Ooh.
yeah, like super creative. Loved it. There was some great double teaming from Top Flight. Andretti winds up taking like all of the punishment in the corner. Just he at one point they eliminate the other two. They eliminate Top Flight, and then it's the BCC one after the other, after the other, after the other, after the like 6 times. Each member of the BCC just like nails him in the corner with a splash or an elbow,
Oh.
and then uh, eventually he shambles out of the corner and walks into a tombstone pile driver from Pac for the win. Then afterwards, and this is where the Hope Spot turns into the hot tag because they did a thing where the end of Collision bled into the beginning of Battle of the Belts, which I gotta say is smart on them. They must have realized that I wasn't going to initially cover Battle of the Belts because nothing ever really happens on Battle of the Belts. But because I carried and covered Collision, I needed to see this segment through. I wound up watching Battle of the Belts anyway. So I might as well cover it with the hot tag. Good on you, AEW. You got me. You got me. So afterwards, the BCC continues to beat down. Mox and Shafir join them as well. Leo Rush and Layla Gray come down. Both are ineffective. The Dark Order comes in and they make the save, or they try to, but also are ultimately ineffective. Mox then gets on the mic and says he'll give Dark Order a chance, even though they got the crap kicked out of them, to fight for their dreams and fight for the trios title. So he tells the ring announcer to ring the bell and the referee to stay there. Like, you work for me now, is what he said. So yeah, BCC are actually calling shots now, which I felt is very important to the storyline. The BCC versus Dark Order, second straight trios title defense. John Silver's in there all by himself for like 5 minutes, just getting the tar kicked out of him one after the other. But he's kicking out of some stuff too. He's getting some hope. Evil Uno breaks up the pin after the fastball special, though. That's where things start to rotate a little bit. Ultimately, Reynolds is the one to get the hot tag, but he's got his ribs all taped up and stuff. He's selling the injury from earlier, and he's really, really selling too. Like, oof, yeah. You believe that his ribs were in bad shape. And it played into the finish because he couldn't really complete the hot tag. He got some offense in, but eventually he gets trapped in Claudio's sharpshooter, and he reaches for the ropes and everything, but he can't. He's dragged all the way back out to the ring. The ref gets distracted, and then Pac comes off, and I want to say it was a double stomp. I can't remember the exact move, but the ref didn't see while he was still in the sharpshooter. I think it was double stomped by Pac from the top rope. And
Oh
so he
God.
eventually he had to tap. But even after the tap and after the bell, Wheeler Yuta applied cattle mutilation to him. Like, they're just really just going to town on
Oh
the poor
God.
guy. Like, it's excessive.
Yeah, that seemed a little excessive to me, Joseph.
And I mean, they eventually leave, but like, oof.
Yeah.
Like, I get where they're going with this. They are a literal gang at this point. They're not a faction anymore. They're an actual like street gang at this
Mm-hmm.
point, beefing over turf. But like, oof, it's tough to watch. Like, I don't know how many weeks of this in a row I'm going to be able to watch and still be invested in it by the time a babyface finally gets one up on them,
Mm-hmm.
because they have to lay it on thick because It's about taking over the whole company. Okay, fine. And I'm glad that they were on both shows so that it's not just, oh, you're just going to see this on Dynamite. This is a soft brand split thing. No, it feels like they're trying to take over everything. And
Yeah.
that's good. But like, it's so, it's so excessive. Like, it's just, they're beating up so many people. And I'll get into that at the end, I guess. Match number 2 was for the Continental title, Kyle O'Reilly versus Kazuchika Okada. Really good match, as you would expect. Um, Lots of BJJ from O'Reilly. He almost gets a submission with a heel hook at one point, but Rainmaker has to gouge him in the eyes to break it up. Okada really, really selling the leg. Like those leg kicks that Kyle O'Reilly throws are not fun. Like they look like they land and they bury in that thigh
Oh
every
yeah.
time. Uh, but after a while, Okada baits Kyle O'Reilly outside with 10 count shenanigans.
Good.
He goes to the outside, and the assumption is that there's only a couple minutes left. He's going to keep rolling. He's going to pull the Nick Bockwinkel and keep going to the outside and wait out the count, and then break the count, and then roll back out. But Kyle O'Reilly comes in, tries to chase him out, but then Okada hits him, because he expects that, showing, again, heels are smart. Um, Lots of Rainmaker counters towards the end, but like there were like 3 times in a row where Okada tries to hit the Rainmaker, but Kyle counters. Like at one point, he counters into a guillotine choke and nearly gets it. But eventually he grabs it. He smacks him with the Rainmaker lariat, and that's over in probably with maybe a minute left on the counter, something like that. Like it went close to the full 20. It didn't quite get there, but it went close. But good stuff,
Oh yeah.
I love me some Kyle O'Reilly.
Oh yeah.
Segment number 2, promo for Mariah May versus Anna Jay. It's basically video clips of them and stuff like that. It was voiceover from Anna Jay. Says Mariah's shady, is going to give her a receipt.
Okay.
Segment number 3, backstage LFI promo from, and this one's live. Roosh says that they're going to destroy everyone. Mortos is then panned over, seen choking Hologram and like messing up Hologram. I was wondering where Hologram was going to be. Oh, I guess he was going to be attacked by LFI. That makes sense. Match number 3 was Brian Cage and Lance Archer in their debut as a tag team versus Jack Cartwheel and John Cruz.
All right.
Jack Cartwheel getting a little bit of notice on the indie scene. John Cruz, probably most famous for being walked away from by Samoa Joe and him looking at him like this in midair and getting that caught in still form. But yeah, Cartwheel selling it, bumping like crazy.
Yeah, he bumps with substance,
Holy
man.
cow! Like it was like Shawn Michaels versus Hulk Hogan, the way that he was selling. He was like, I think he was trying to maximize his minutes and just be like, hey, look what I can offer you. Because he's not signed.
No.
I think he was trying to get signed. I think he saw this as an audition, and I think he definitely stood out. Cruz, but Cruz got obliterated. Essentially was the story of the match. Like, Cartwheel bumped, and Cruz was like, at one point he refused to tag in, and then I think it was Archer. No, it was Cage. He took Cartwheel's limp hand and forced him to tag, which I thought was funny. And they just beat Cruz up, and the finish came from an assisted blackout. They had done a power bomb into a choke slam thing, and then afterwards Archer got him up for the blackout, and he was helped down by Cage, and that got the pin. After that was an interview with the Undisputed Kingdom. They still want to They still want to hang with Mornos. They're not mad. They're just disappointed. Uh, Match 4 was your main event: Anna Jay versus Mariah May in a women's title eliminator match. I saw a lot of chatter online, raving about this match, but honestly, I don't see it. I thought it was. I didn't think it was bad. I just thought it was basic until the end. Like, uh, I think Anna Jay didn't spend enough time in Japan. I think she could have benefited from being there another 2 or 3 months. Because like you can see she's trying, but like her stuff just doesn't look convincing, you know. And I hate to say that because I genuinely do like her. She seems like an affable person, and she's got personality. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But I think she's kind of hit a little bit of a wall, at least from what I've seen in terms of her in-ring progression. That said, when she rolled her up to get the pin, I popped. I was like, "Oh, holy cow!
Yeah.
Somebody winning an eliminator match as a challenger. That's crazy." So they're gonna run it back with the belt on the line. I think next. I don't think it's next Collision. I think it's the one after that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a weird cradle. I don't think I've ever seen it before. But just to go over things I liked, things didn't, could have stand improvement. I liked I actually enjoyed the squash matches because they were different. They to their credit, if you're gonna have 3 squash matches on a card, at least add a little bit of humor in there. And they did that for 2 of them, which I thought was really it was welcome. It really was.
Yeah.
Um it's good to see Mortos getting a win. I'm always on board with Mortos getting a win. Um, uh, uh, Not a fan of like how do I say this? Um, I don't know. Like, I mean, I mentioned the BCC stuff before, so I'm just gonna try to avoid that. But like, I don't know. I'm trying, really trying. I'm not seeing it with Anna Jay. I'm just not like it's I'm good for her and good for them trying to push women that haven't been pushed before, trying to get them into different spots. But like I'm not seeing it, and it's like I feel bad because I really feel for her, but I feel like she could have just spent a lot more time in Japan and she would have benefited from it because I'm just not buying her as a credible challenger for the world women's title. I'm just not. Like,
No.
um, the other thing though, Thunder Rosa's back though. Thunder Rosa's
Yeah.
back.
I love Thunder
Love me
Rosa.
some Thunder Rosa. Glad to see her. You can slot her in anywhere and she'll do the work, and it will work. So, hopefully, she doesn't. This isn't a prelude to more concussions. You get one concussion, and a lot of times that can open up. I mean, look what happened to Brett.
Yeah.
So, just hoping that that she not only is she cleared, but that she's healthy, and that this isn't a harbinger of bad things to come.
hmm
Really, really need Thunder Rosa to get in there and scrap with Mercedes at some point.
Oh yeah. I need that
Because
quickly.
if anybody's going to get the match that we know Mercedes can have, it would be Thunder Rosa.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. I think Thunder Rosa could have that Sasha match that we are constantly looking for out of
Yeah,
Mercedes Monet.
she needs to make that. She needs to make that statement match. Like, I mean,
hmm
she had a really good match with Willow to win the belt,
hmm
and then from there, it's been a lot of middling stuff for the most part.
Except Emmy.
Nothing's
The Emmy match was fantastic.
the Emmy match was good, but it was also sadly against somebody you knew was never going to
Not
have a
gonna
chance to
win.
win that belt.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
that's the problem with it is
I need
that
a match like that
you
against somebody who could win.
exactly you need to it's not enough that it be good. It needs to be good and convincing that it could go the other way
Yeah.
because that's where the magic, that's where the sauce is.
Mm-hmm.
That's the sauce right there. It's like you need to make me forget it. You need to make me forget that the Mercedes win is a foregone conclusion.
Oh, that was our collision review for the week, and now it's time to do like vets do and call it in the ring.